Oh, nice. Dragonfly, right? Yeah. Sorry, story. I didn't know if you
All right, everybody. Everyone, we're going to get started. It's like 6:08 right now. Just want to be respectful of everybody's time, but thank you for coming out to the first general body meeting of the Gator Bitcoin Club. I'm happy that you all came out here. I mean, it's a bigger attendance than when we started last semester because I expect that a lot of that is the hype that's been around cryptocurrencies previously, but we're really excited that you're all here. And we are just going to, right now I'm just going to give you like an intro into what we're all about at the club, how sort of these club meetings are going to be structured. And, oh yeah, dude, the music. Yeah, that's a good one. How these meetings are going to be structured, what we do at the club, and then I'm going to get into the presentation, Why Bitcoin. So, without further ado, I want to start with saying what we aren't. And we are definitely not financial advisors. We are not going to be the ones to tell you where to put your money. If you're coming into this club looking to find the next coin that's going to go up 10 times and just put your money into whatever we tell you, I'm sorry, that's not what we're looking to do here. We aren't going to be pushing any coins. Our goal is to be a club that gives education on the technology, and now we're starting to get a little bit more into the investment side. But because people are interested in investment, it's definitely a critical component there. But we aren't financial advisors. We're not trying to tell you where to put your money. So these are the three pillars of our club. This is what we are all about at the Gator Bitcoin Club. What we try and do is we try and spread awareness. So earlier today, I was out there flyering for this meeting. I don't know if maybe some of you came here because of that. But when I was out there flyering, like a lot of people had heard about Bitcoin. They don't really know that much about it. But I did get a couple of people that just straight up told me, what's Bitcoin? And I was kind of surprised that people still didn't know about it, honestly. But that's a really big important thing that we want to do at the club is we just want to spread awareness about cryptocurrencies, about Bitcoin in general, because there are still people that don't even know how amazing this technology is. Next, what we do at these meetings, we want to educate the members. We want to just inform you all. Maybe some of you guys came in here just knowing about that you had heard about Bitcoin and that you just saw the price spike up and you're wondering why. Why is this price moving like this? What even is Bitcoin? What are these things? And so what we do is we're going to teach you all about the fundamentals of Bitcoin, of cryptocurrencies in general, what the blockchain technology behind it means, what different things like mining, how mining works, what forks are, how can there be a Bitcoin and a Bitcoin Cash and a Bitcoin Gold and a Bitcoin Diamond. What's all that about? So we host different like lecture style meetings to inform you guys what that is. And lastly, we are looking to get everybody involved in the cryptocurrency space. We bring in people in the industry from outside to come speak at our meetings. They're always looking for people to get involved in their venture, and they're always looking to hire and recruit members, especially if you're a developer. Right now, there's like 16 blockchain jobs for every one developer out there. It's an incredible growth in the industry, and there really is not enough supply to fit the demand. So this is another thing that we do. Actually, this is a very recent photo. Paulo and some other members Pablo, Robbie, they all came together for this meeting or a conference last week on Thursday and Friday, the North American Bitcoin Conference. It's the largest in North America by far. There are about 4,000 members. or 4,000 people that attended the conference, and it was a great way to network with the big players in the industry. And by coming to this club, by being involved, we are able to go for free by some of the sponsors that sponsor our club, or some of the organizations that help us out with that. So if you're interested in going to these conferences and stuff like that, stick around and get involved in the club. And so without further ado, I want to go into why Bitcoin, right? Why does it matter? So for us in the first world, some people don't understand why Bitcoin matters at all. Like, Bitcoin is just simply trying to be a digital currency, right? It's trying to be a way to transfer value digitally. And we already have that, right? We have Venmo, we have PayPal. It's not a problem, right? Well, if we want to find out why Bitcoin exists, we can look exactly towards the person that created it. So the person that created it in 2009 and started off the Bitcoin revolution was this person or persons called Satoshi Nakamoto. And right baked into the protocol, he told us, or he wrote in the article that we see here, the headline of the article, January 3rd, 2009, Chancellor Alistair Darling on brink of second bailout for banks. So we are just, obviously what Satoshi's vision was to put the funds of the users and the individuals of society back into their control. We don't want people to, we don't want banks holding all the money, because we've seen what happens with the bailouts. Banks are overly risky in their investments, and it can fall through. Now, we have a way of owning our own funds and not just simply storing it in a bank for other institutions to invest and play around with, which are our savings. So a big example of this is the massive inflation that we can see in places like Venezuela. These people put their money into the banks, into the government, or the government-regulated banks, and we've seen that there's hyperinflation, and these people lose so much, or lose nearly everything that they own, just because government and regulatory systems surrounding cryptocurrencies just print money out of thin air and devalue your currency. And in Venezuela, this is absolutely absurd. You'll see the picture here with a banana for scale. And this is roughly the equivalent of 20 US dollars. And it's absolutely criminal how these institutions can just devalue the money that you've saved and earned throughout your life. And so because Bitcoin is deflationary, and we know that there's only ever going to be a certain cap of Bitcoins, where we can trust in the fact that it is a secure network that's secured by different participants all over the world, and that since it's directly in the code and nobody has ownership of it, there will always and forever be 21 million Bitcoins. The next thing that we can see that's absolutely critical to why Bitcoin exists today is the exclusion from financial services that people around the world are experiencing. So like I was touching on before, where we had Venmo and PayPal, where we don't have to really worry about transacting digitally. We have people in Africa, in Southeast Asia, billions of people do not have access to the same banking and financial services that we take for granted here in the first world. They are not able to they don't have any credit. They're not able to get loans. They're not able to start their own businesses or make large purchases if they don't have the capital immediately available to them. And this is why Bitcoin is extremely useful here. I mean, you don't need some sort of financial institution to let you do these types of things. You can just do it and directly transfer peer-to-peer, which is an amazing revolution. Now, some people will say, well, if they don't have access to financial services, then they probably don't have access to the internet and stuff like that. But it's simply not true. Like we can see here, this is actually a solar panel on a hut. I'm not exactly sure where from, but these people have there's a vast network in cellular and mobile devices in third world countries. So that this infrastructure is already there today. And the fact that we can actually hold our own currency and hold the value that we've created, or hold our own funds and retain ownership of them, even just on our phones, we are able to let these people transact freely. And another big thing about cryptocurrency is the fact that it is completely global, borderless. It's as global as the internet, actually even more so. People, especially in remittance markets, are absolutely robbed from payment services like Western Union. I mean, here you'll see a picture of Western Union. That these are places that you can create, that you can actually send money from. And Western Union is going to take about a 15% fee for people that are sending funds back home. I mean, imagine immigrating to the US because your family's in a third world country and you're the breadwinner, you're the provider for these families, and you don't make that much comparatively in the US, but back home, that's a huge deal. And so let's say you make $300 a week, and I'm going to send that back home. Western Union is going to take 15% of that. And that's just a notable difference between what you were sending before. Whereas with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, we can send those funds with a minimal fee. Another thing to touch on is that these services like Western Union, they could take weeks for them to come in, for the funds to be distributed to the right person. With cryptocurrencies, this happens in minutes. I mean, $300, like the funds that people are getting back from these remittances from their family members that have traveled to work are providing the funds that are being used for these people to live. And I don't think it's right for it to take a week for these funds to be given to these people when really, in reality, with banking today, it's the same. It's entering just numbers into a digital ledger, but it's closed off to the banks, and it takes weeks for no reason. And the last thing that I wanted to really touch on that can get your mind moving into where this space is going are machine interactions. So I want you guys to picture this. We have just like you use Uber now, right? I pull up my phone, I get an Uber, and in the future, it's going to be a self-drive car that comes and picks me up. It takes me to my location, and it works the same as Uber to me. But the car is actually able to own its own currency, its own funds, and it can detect when it's low on gas, for example. Oh, I'm going to go to the gas station. And then the car is actually able to pay for the gas by itself without any human intervention. I mean, when you think of IoT, you really need a distributed solution for security reasons, but also for just for the practicality of machines interacting with each other. And this technology is the most promising one for use in IoT. Sorry, IoT is the Internet of Things. So machines interacting with other machines. And last thing I want to say is Bitcoin was the first currency. I mean, that if you're thinking about why is Bitcoin so huge? There are all these other ones. Bitcoin has a huge network effect, and it has a huge network effect, and it's always going to be like and have historical significance. But there are thousands of different cryptocurrencies out there, and these technologies really are changing the way that we can that we operate. Just like I mentioned with Internet of Things, just like I explained in the financial services with Bitcoin. There's so much potential in these technologies that I really hope to cover almost all of these cryptocurrencies that have merit and really digest what it is that makes these currencies so incredibly powerful. So that is just an intro about our club, what we're going to do. This is why Bitcoin is incredibly useful in today. When we're going through these meetings, this is sort of like just an intro meeting, so it's a bit of a short meeting, and it's not over now, but I just want to explain the structure of how our meetings are going to go. So normally we're going to have like a news type of discussion in the beginning. Then we're going to jump into our main topic that is probably going to be forks. Next week, it will be talking about the fundamentals of Bitcoin. What are addresses? What is a wallet? How do you transact? What are transactions like in the Bitcoin network? If you don't understand hardly anything about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, I really think that you should come out and learn about these fundamental things, because it's absolutely important. And so I believe Noah has some content for the news. If you guys want to talk and start a discussion about different things that have happened in the last 2 weeks in cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, I would love for you guys to discuss about these different things. So do you have the excellent? Okay. What?
On the actual
No, you can just talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just an open discussion, guys.
All right, hey guys. So yeah, like Nathan said, I'm just here to talk about, keep you guys updated on like some news, like in case you weren't keeping up or that was going on. Like it's just something that maybe we can talk about if it like why it's important or anything like that. So the first thing that I have on my list, the biggest things that's happened in like the past 2 weeks is Bitcoin's implementation of the so-called Lightning Network. And to keep it like, if you don't know what it is or why it's important, basically Bitcoin's blockchain, every time like a message is sent, basically like if you're trying to transact money or give money or throw it around anything, no matter how small or big it is, it basically like the blockchain has to interpret the message, to decode it and everything, and then it takes a long time, especially with how many people are in Bitcoin and like sending a bunch of transactions and stuff. What the Lightning Network does in essence is it has its own payment channels basically, and it'll group all the or in a certain amount of time these transactions, and basically makes it a lot faster, a lot quicker. So, and that means that transaction fees goes down. How fast it takes goes a lot, like very fast. And those are kind of the two things that really get Bitcoin gets knocked on a lot. That it's not fast, it's slow, and that there's basically these different altcoins that are getting put into the system that do that, and they make it they're competitors to Bitcoin. So if the Lightning Network does go through, it makes Bitcoin very viable. It's looked at very good fundamentals, and coins like big coins that you guys might know of, like Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash, it doesn't render them useless, but it takes a lot of their use case out just because of the fact that Bitcoin those coins were basically put in kind of to counteract the fact that Bitcoin isn't doing that. So just something big.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, that's the so Bitcoin was a solution to send funds nearly for pennies and fractions of pennies. And that's how it was before it's blown up. And now that it's blowing up, it's gaining a lot of adoption. There are scaling issues that are in Bitcoin that are actively being researched, that are actively being solved. And the Lightning Network is one of these proposed solutions towards scaling. Because now what we're seeing is about a $5 transaction fee to send money. And what the Bitcoin network is trying to do is trying to scale this operation in a healthy way that is not going to compromise the decentralized nature of Bitcoin. And that's exactly what the Lightning Network aims to do. And there's historically been this lack of adoption of the Lightning Network, but within the past 2 weeks, we've seen an explosion in growth of nodes that are running this protocol, and it's absolutely amazing. It's the next step towards scaling and lowering fees for Bitcoin.
For sure. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about, something that's pretty big, but something that happens kind of often. It seems that well, not just South Korea, but for this case, South Korea announced that they were going to put a ban on Bitcoin, or not a ban on Bitcoin, but a ban on like foreigners, which would be like us or miners, trying to use South Korean exchanges, primarily Bitdom. And it just, every time that these kind of news comes out, it'll shake Bitcoin's price a little bit down. It's happened with China before, but then they don't actually ban it, and then they ban it and stuff like that. Nobody knows why, or actually, but yeah, South Korea announced on the 30th that if you have like a Bitdom account, or if you're trying to make one, you're not allowed. Or if you have an anonymous bank account that's trying, like, basically you could go on Bitdom and you can kind of anonymously like be put, or like you don't have to put like all your credentials and everything. So that's going to be gone on the 30th. So I wouldn't get on Bitdom right now. Just
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the market, you see how volatile it is. I'm sure if you guys have looked at the price of Bitcoin, I mean, we were at 19K near the end of December, and now we're at about 11,000. I mean, there's extreme volatility here, and any sort of news about like, oh, some places, it's funny because it really is not something that can be outright banned. I mean, it's completely peer-to-peer and decentralized, and these news of bans are it just drives the price down because it causes a lot of shock. And it's actually funny because a lot of people in South Korea spoke to the Minister of Finance or something like that, and demanded them to step down or resign because of the market manipulation that can happen when somebody announces that event's going to happen and then nothing ends up happening. Yeah, it's absolutely funny to follow.
yeah, exactly. And then just a couple more things. Stripe. I don't know if you guys have heard of Stripe. It's kind of like PayPal or Square or so. It's kind of just like a place where you can, or businesses use to like transact or like hand money and stuff like that. It just recently removed payments that because before you could use Bitcoin to like send out payments and stuff like that. They recently took it off, just like Steam did, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And also something that's like really speculatory that not people are really speculative about is the whole Tether issue. I don't know if you guys know about Tether, but it's basically like the cryptocurrency. Like it's supposed to resemble the U.S. dollar, but I think recently $450 million or 400 million Tether were just injected into the system, and people are speculative about it because it seems to go in at times where it's critical points in Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's going really down, sometimes you'll see like a tether injection into the system, or if Bitcoin is on like a strong uptrend, the tether will be injected and it'll push it up even more. And people don't actually know like exactly like, or do you like it doesn't actually, yeah, like it doesn't actually like every time tether's put in, it seems that Bitcoins will react positively to a tether being placed.
So for those that aren't aware of this type of stuff, I'm hoping that you'll come back and we'll tell you all about these things about tether and about the different exchanges and lightning network and things like this I want to cover. But a big thing about these news sections that I want to start this semester is have people that are knowledgeable about cryptocurrencies to also have a place at this club. We want to educate people, and if they already have an education, we want them to come back and have a discussion on these news on these topics. So if you're not aware of what we're talking about right now, don't fret. We're going to cover it. It's just that's the reason why we're talking about the news now. And with regards to tether, there's a lot of controversy around the use of tether, which is like Noah explained, it's like it aims to be a cryptocurrency that is directly pegged to one US dollar. And by trying to level out the volatility that we experience in the Bitcoin markets or any other sort of cryptocurrency market, there has to be a way to regulate and stop prices from skyrocketing or absolutely crashing. And basically, there's a lot of controversy around how these things are being regulated because, I mean, if Tether's able to print 400 million, able to mint 400 million coins, that is supposedly backed by a real US dollar in vault. Right? We don't, what, if it's not, then we run into the same issues that we've seen with recessions, banks defaulting, and needing bailouts. And that's basically the biggest controversy about Tether is we don't know if it's backed
by something or the dollar.
It's being backed by dollars in a vault, but there's some concerns about the
cool. Yeah. And then just one little thing to put in, something that has to do with Canada. So their National Research Council, the NRC in Canada, they started to begin testing on an Ethereum blockchain for recording government contracts, and that's big in the fact because their main goal in doing that, they want to make it more transparent, anything like that. So yeah, something cool. And that's it. And I don't know who is.
Right. So who here kind of knows what we covered about Tether? And anybody heard about Tether before? And the Lightning Network as well. Okay. Awesome. For those of you that don't, know, we're going to be going into these topics and explaining them in future.
All right, so I'm going to do a quick presentation. We'll be doing this every meeting where we go through a specific segment of altcoins, like a specific category. In this case, we're doing Bitcoin derivatives, which are an altcoin whose code base is essentially almost completely identical to Bitcoin's with few minor changes. Most of those changes include block size, block time, max supply, or the hashing algorithm. And while they're technically Bitcoin forks, they all began from a Genesis block 0, which is different from Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold. With Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold, if you held Bitcoin at the time of the fork, you were also awarded the same amount in Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin Gold. In Bitcoin derivatives case, with like Litecoin, Vertcoin, they all began from scratch, so you were not awarded based on how much Bitcoin you owned at the time. I'm just going to start with the basic technical specifications of Bitcoin so you have something to relate it to. It was created January 2009. Has a capped block size of 1 megabyte, but that is kind of iffy if you include SegWit, which we'll get into in the next few meetings. Block time is 10 minutes, which means every 10 minutes there's a block mined, which is a batch of transactions essentially. There's hard cap of 21 million Bitcoins ever going to be in existence, and the hashing algorithm is SHA-256. So then if we go ahead, I'm assuming most of you guys know Litecoin, created October 2011. Still same 1 megabyte block size, so not much change there. The big thing Litecoin introduced was the 2.5 minute block time, which means Litecoin can process 4 times as many transactions as Bitcoin can. And since it has 4 times the transaction, it also has 4 times the supply. And changed up the hashing algorithm to the script hashing algorithm, which means that specific ASIC miners used to mine Bitcoin cannot be used to mine Litecoin because they use different hashing algorithms. And then next up is Dogecoin, created December 2013, still 1 megabyte block size. This took the block time even lower to 1 minute, which is ridiculously fast for a coin. It originally had a max supply, I think, of like 100 billion, but then at some point they're just like, just make it infinite. So they use the script hashing algorithm, which means if you have an ASIC miner for Litecoin, you could also use it to mine Dogecoin. And then one thing Dogecoin introduced was the randomized block reward, which essentially means you can get anywhere from 100,000 Dogecoin to like 2 million Dogecoin, but it all averages out to about 500,000 Dogecoin per block.
What's funny about Dogecoin is it really, the NBC when they sponsored the Jamaican pop slip.
Yeah.
The funny thing about Dogecoin is that it was really created
yeah.
a complete joke about cryptocurrencies. Like it never really aimed to be any sort of value, anything of value at all. It was just like a way to kind of be lighthearted in crypto. And at the end of the day, there are only these crypto punks like writing code for Bitcoin because they believe in everything. They had no idea it was ever going to be this big. Like when Satoshi Nakamoto released it on or announced it on the Bitcoin forums, everybody was like, yeah, it's never gonna work. And Satoshi himself was like, it's not work. Like it was just, it wasn't as adopted as it is. And Dogecoin is just a tribute back to the days where it was like,
yeah.
It's not anything truly.
Yeah. Another thing about Dogecoin is I believe the community crowdfunded a sponsorship for a NASCAR, like sponsorship. So you saw for one race, there's a big Dogecoin logo on a NASCAR, which was pretty funny to me. All right. Yes.
So considering that the Bitcoin hasn't been value.
It really, no. Like at one point it did have a max supply, but it's same as the dollar. It could, like, it will never have the deflationary characteristics of most cryptocurrencies. But I mean, like, Dogecoin isn't really meant to have value. Like, I think the last time code was pushed to Dogecoin was like 2 years ago, so it's not really like a, yeah.
What's the value of Dogecoin right now? Like,
I have no idea. Very low. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. But the market cap surpassed like $1 billion, so people are still buying Dogecoin for a reason. Yeah, the markets have been. All right. Next up, we have Vertcoin. We're coming up to January 2014. Still same 1 megabyte block size, 2.5 minute block time, same as Litecoin, same max supply. What Vertcoin really started doing, though, what their big like push was ASIC resistance, which means that you can mine Vertcoin on regular graphics cards and CPUs, which like their big push is decentralization. Because what we see in Bitcoin and more so Litecoin too nowadays is you have these big mining farms, which really concentrates hash power and really powering the network into hands of a few people. And Vertcoin really strove to give the power back to the people in cryptocurrencies. Next up, we have Dash, created January 2014. Dash recently decided to bump the block size up to 2 megabytes, which means it can process twice the amount of transactions as Bitcoin can per block. And its block time is 2.5 minutes, max supply of 18.9 million. The X11 hashing algorithm, which means you have to buy like specific Dash mining hardware to mine Dash. And Dash introduced optional privacy, which means you can choose to have a private transaction in Dash, which, does anyone here know what a Bitcoin tumbler is? Okay, so a Bitcoin tumbler is essentially a bunch of people send their Bitcoin to a certain address or site, and then they switch all the Bitcoin around so you don't know who sent, like, because, all right, Bitcoin is a public blockchain, so you can see any transaction coming from anywhere and where it's going. So if you send it to a tumbler, you essentially tumble your Bitcoins around so nobody knows where it originated at first. What Dash does, Dash implements that in a way that it's not in a centralized site, it's more in a decentralized way that anyone can really run a masternode and therefore contribute to the anonymity of the network.
The thing that I think is interesting about that is I think it's one of the first types of currencies that implemented block reward, where part of the block reward goes back to the people that developed.
Yeah. The treasury fund.
Yeah,
it's called. Yeah, I think it's like 10% or something.
And, exactly, and these, I mean, we just went to the Bitcoin conference down in Miami, and it was sponsored by Dash, which means they were able to pay for different things and market their currency because of this treasury fund. And at first, personally, I was like, I don't really like this at all. Why do people get a percentage of every block reward? But I think that this is a big thing, a big trend that's going to continue in the crypto space because this is a way for people to get investment, get word out about marketing, and basically just to promote more digital currency and things like that. I think that we're going to see, and we do see this with initial coin offerings and stuff like that, but we see that companies are fundraising with their tokens, and it's just like a new business model.
Yeah.
Yep. I just want to add what Nathan was saying. So Dash is also one of the first what they call decentralized autonomous organization, or the mention that he said, where 10% of the block of the mining goes to this nonprofit that works to develop Dash. Essentially, the engineers who are working on Dash are getting paid by the community using Dash. So essentially, they created a brand new business model that, I mean, this capitalistic world, I don't think anybody would ever envision, where you have a community utilizing a coin, and the community is also paying for the development of this coin. So again, just if you really understand the word, decentralized autonomous organization. It's sort of mind blowing. That's not something I think in human history we've ever seen before.
I agree. Yeah.
I thought Dash was decent.
They do have an instant send, but that's a feat. Like, you don't have to use the instant send feature. It's a different. Yeah, it's a feature of it, but it's not like anything. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Decred. Decred is probably the least Bitcoin-like out of all these coins. It still keeps 1 megabyte block size, 5-minute block time, same 21 million max supply. But the thing that Decred does is it introduces a mix of proof of work and proof of stake. Proof of work is essentially your miners. You buy mining hardware, you mine the coins. Proof of stake means you set aside if you own coins, you set aside a certain amount for staking, and that secures the network. So what Decred didn't want to happen was what we kind of saw with the Bitcoin controversies of late 2017 with miners pushing for SegWit 2x, users pushing for SegWit, and then seeing where it goes. What Decred implemented was a system in which the miners validate the blocks, but then the users have to validate those blocks again. So hypothetically, if a rogue miner started attacking the network, the users could choose to just disregard all of his blocks, which is very interesting to me. And Decred also implements a type of stakeholder voting where proposals are made. Like, let's say in the future, Decred wanted to create a 2 megabyte block size. The entire community, if you held Decred, you could vote on this matter, which is a big thing that Decred is about, is the decentralized voting aspect. And yeah, that's it. Any questions, comments, concerns? All right, cool.
Do we have a trading?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you do. It's in the folder I put in. Awesome. Okay, so this is something that we're starting up now this semester. I mean, we have been shying away from investments and just focusing purely on the technology education of these technologies. But undoubtedly, there's a financial element that we want to address for the people that want to come in and learn about trading different cryptocurrencies or things like that. So we're introducing this segment, this trading and trade analysis segment, so that people that want to come learn about that.
Can you get it on both screens?
You actually posted that in the Slack earlier. It's I didn't get a chance to look at it, but very interesting. I don't even know. Does Weiss like race all different types of securities? I don't know.
They just started crypto. They're pretty cautious. They didn't really make clear how they're rating.
It's just some sort of rating out there.
Yeah, they put it behind a paywall, so you can't really unless you pay for it.
You know what's interesting? What really interests me about that is sort of like centralized rating of things. It's just like what we had in mortgages in the housing bubble. These rating agencies take the rating anything. I mean, I think it would be funny if we had like one of the coins that we just mentioned, like Dash, that has a reward go back to them to provide for marketing, things like that. A little bit more of like a company like coin would be paying for ratings. I don't know. It's something to think about.
Hi, I'm Robbie. Yeah, right. I've been in crypto for about 2.5 years now. And I like to trade. So I do short-term trades, long-term trades, and I'm going to be talking some about the price analysis and history, going back on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies too. So this is kind of like, well, cheat sheet of how market cycles tend to go in almost every kind of financial market and cryptocurrencies too. You can kind of argue that we're we can be anywhere on the scale right now in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency the whole. I think we're right here right now after 20K. You can see the massive pump that's kind of happening in, the mic. I'm sorry. You can kind of see like the massive dump that just happened. And if you really believe in this technology and you are here to stay, you can kind of see where this could lead, just through a cycle like this. So yeah, here you got the Bitcoin chart on the left, Ethereum on the right, and they're both taking a hit right now, but it was because of that, huge correction that came the last few months. So, or that huge pump that came the last couple months, and now it's kind of time for a correction. So we could see, a big dump in both of these charts, keep going, or they could rebound. They could go, a matter of different ways. Here's another market cycle kind of cheat sheet. Right now, we're probably falling in Bitcoin. You can kind of see that. Everyone is kind of still thinking it's going to go back up, which means it's probably going to keep going down until people are very angry and, suing people. And that's when price will start to go back up, in my opinion. But yeah, this is just another market cycle. And you can see just cryptocurrencies follow, they tend to follow this kind of pattern. I don't know the trading experience of the people here, but some really basic price action stuff. We're going to be talking, further in this club about, reading charts, reading candlestick charts. So the anatomy of a candle, the wick on the top and the bottom is called the tail, and it's marked by the low price is always going to be the lowest of the tail. The highest traded price is the high of the tail. And then the body of the candle is the open and the close of the price. And that's going to be the majority of the price trading action is going to occur in that body. And there's a million different types of candles. We're going to be talking about all the different kinds and what they mean and how you can trade them, what kind of action they have on the price. Other things that we can help trade are indicators, trends, supports, resistances, some pretty basic stuff. It's kind of hard to see the lines maybe, but where you can use for targets, where you can use for down targets, where buying opportunities hold, selling opportunities, where you should take some of these profits. All depend on trend supports, resistances. Some of the most basic trading tools in those indicators. Mhm.
What are the targets? Like, I know nothing about trading. I've really just been invested in the space for the longest time. I don't know. So are the blue lines like support lines?
Yeah. So these blue lines, this is just one example, and you can analyze a chart a million different ways. So this is just kind of a basic example of these blue lines were all indicators of support. You can see how they bounced off, these blue lines, and back up there too. So you can use those as possible supports. If prices go break them and fall back, you could use them as supports, or also of, targets of when to sell. These are just kind of price points where the community that was trading the coin couldn't really decide. So you can see it kind of jumped off. This is just one example of an altcoin, and how it jumps off some of the supports and resistances. And you can see just, maybe all this is a good buying opportunity because this was the price it got added to the exchange. And then eventually it'll return to that price and establish it as a long-term support. The purple lines right here are trend lines. So they're a little bit more advanced on some inflection that the price could be having. Keep going. Another indicator is moving averages. So this is just kind of a line display of another way to represent the price through moving over time. And you can have how fast these moving averages move, and according to time, based on 50-day, 200-day, other settings that you can have. Another indicator is the cloud. And we're going to be talking about how to specifically alter some of these indicators and the metrics you use to cryptocurrencies 24/7, 30 days a month, no off days. And you can kind of tweak these indicators to give you a more accurate representation of that. So if you have no idea what this is, I know it looks kind of crazy to look at right now, but you're going to be learning how to use it, moving forward in the club. If you still need to get your cryptocurrency, head over one of these exchanges. These are all pretty reputable right now. Right now, that list just happens to be in descending volume. Mt. Gox. Don't go to Mt. Gox. It was an exchange a long time ago, and it got hacked, and that kind of caused the big dump in the first big dump in Bitcoin, and that was the biggest exchange. Everyone loved it. Everyone thought it was invincible, kind of like a lot of people think exchanges are now. But I put that on there just kind of to remind everyone exchanges aren't invincible, so you got to be really careful whenever you're putting your money in an exchange. Some other resources that will help you trade is probably the biggest one out there right now. You can play with all these indicators, make your own charts. Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube for news, fundamental analysis. And here, the Gator Bitcoin Club can always come for news and more content. Some terms that we'll be using. You got market exchange. So what I just covered. Market cap is price times total supply. And that's kind of what people use as an overall value that they put on the coin. And coin market cap gives a list of like 1,000+ coins, and they're ranking based on market cap. Altcoin is any coin other than Bitcoin, and you have these exchanges that are trading altcoins right now, where it used to just be a couple coins. You have thousands more coins. HODL is what you kind of say what you're doing when a coin crashes. You become a long-term holder of it. So just when you don't want to sell on the way down, you just kind of say it becomes a long-term investment. You're just kind of holding it over time, which is what a bag holder is. And we're kind of all bag holders right now because no one wants to sell. Where we are right now, we're kind of down. So we're just going to kind of ride it out. And so we're just holding the bag. Whatever the bag's filled with, you don't know, but could be shit, could be not shit. So we'll see. So going forward, I love charts. So I build and analyze tons of charts a day. Who here's in crypto set up on exchange right now? We could get okay, cool. The top 10 coins that you guys want to see charted. for next week? Raise your hands. What do you guys want to see? Monero? Okay, I'm going to write these down. Okay, just shout them out. Doesn't matter. XMR? Ether. Counterparty? Okay. All right, so XRP. Counterparty. What was the other one? XRB? Yep. Stellar. That's XLM? Yeah. Cardano. ADA. ECC. ETN. All right, we're at 9, but keep shouting them out. We'll get to 12. REQ. Okay, what? REQ. Request Network. Quantum. That's QAU. Let's pull up CoinMarketCap. Yeah. Last one. District. All right. Cool. I got work to do. Yep, that's it from me. So, that's me, you guys. I'm Robbie.
All right, guys. That's all we really have planned for today. You're welcome to discuss with each other. I mean, I'm going to stay around here, have a discussion with anybody that wants to talk crypto with me or anybody else.
You have maybe like a group meet, like
Yes. Go to GatorBitcoinClub.com. Anybody that wants to get connected, go to GatorBitcoinClub.com. There's going to be a Slack link there. That's where we're trying to move most of our communication to.
You got anywhere where I have to get the PowerPoint that you put up?
yeah, we're working on making them all public. Okay, but yeah, if you join the Slack, we will be posting links in there.
How do I get the Slack?
I'm pulling it up right now. Okay, so
I don't even have Slack, so I don't even know how that works.
yeah, just download it. It's pretty simple. Yeah, soccer.
That's a great presentation.
Thanks, man.
And overall, I think we did pretty well.
We're doing like smart contracts next week, privacy next week, you know.